Is everything up and running? I heard some filing e-file portals are
I mean,
coming
this
on.
is so easy using using StreamYard. Like this is
Yeah.
like cake right now compared to OBS.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear the background noise?
Can I hear the background noise?
Yeah, can you hear my wife?
Oh, Diane.
Yes.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to be selected with that.
It's all good.
When Lambo. When Lambo.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah, no one can hear us, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. You just be like, get the fuck out of my way, guys.
Ugh.
Do you know who I am? Do you know
So-
who I am? I'm Kris Mother effing Patel. Get out of my
Yeah,
way.
whatever.
Get out of my way.
I ain't that special.
Y'all think this is transportation? You ever been on a cruise before? Let me tell you something, guy. Just go on like that. Go on
Bro,
that
the cruise lines
microphone on
were
the
okay.
bus.
The cruise lines were okay today.
Yeah, I mean they were outperforming. That's all that matters,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Oh shoot. ETF FaceTime. Ray. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, it has been slow for me too.
Let's go.
Hold on.
Let's fucking
Yep.
go.
You guys can check out the city, man. I'm in Manhattan right now on the bus. That's NYU.
This is a
Not like you're gonna see much. Bro, CrowdStrike screwed us today. Any comments?
they screwed everyone over, man. Seriously.
Why would you do? Why do you want to push updates on a fucking Thursday going into a weekend, man?
I mean it was probably like some quick fix, whatever, and like people deployed it. But dude, I work in development, man. Like it always takes like one person to screw something up, but it takes everyone to let it go through into production because like it passed by the approvers, it passed by the peer developers, it passed by QA and whatever the automation was, and even whatever they had in some sort of staging environment, and it went out there. It's just like Jesus, man. Like,
Well, look,
they screwed it up.
for anyone that wants to know, the downstream impacts of this are not like, oh my god, it's a quick fix. Like, no, there are a ton of computers that are not just going to be like instantly be able to be fixed. So,
where hold on. So
Yeah.
do the
I think I can hear your wife.
Yeah, she's
She's
it's pretty
working
funny
too.
because like I was like meeting at 2:15, right? She's like, no, it's all canceled. I'm like, okay, cool. And then like right when I hit live, she comes to the computer. I'm like, here we go. Here we go.
Yep. All right. So this was just a test. This is not an actual live stream, right? We're not going over a lot of stuff today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we just wanted to make sure that it's working so that this way, when we do another live stream, we can make it work. You know. So, yeah. I am down the street from CrowdStrike, so that's what Big Belly says. Okay, if you could take a carton of eggs, and when you see fucking George come out that door, you fucking egg him. All right. I know we're not supposed to be actively calling for violence on CEOs, but he fucking deserves to be egged.
I mean, I'm sorry. The way that guy like he didn't even apologize.
No,
He was
didn't.
like arrogant about it. I'm like, yo, this guy's ridiculous. Like, who comes on like that?
But to
Just
be
coming
honest-
on like, just get out of here, man.
But to be honest, bro, I love CrowdStrike. Like, it's so lightweight, it's so effective, it works. Like, endpoint security wise, these guys are the best, So it's
No, they're great. I mean, there's a reason why they have so much market share and they're just dominating. I mean, to be honest, like even setting aside the fact that they have cybersecurity, like the way that he runs the business is just so efficient.
yeah.
But I mean,
Barring this one incident.
yeah, I to be honest, like I don't think it is their fault, but at the same time, it's like it happens to everyone. It happens to every single company. Like something falls through the cracks, it's just what happens, right? But the problem was how much impact it had. That was the
Yeah.
problem.
Well, the way that we can interpret this is in two ways. One, we can just see how many clients actually use CrowdStrike. You know,
Clearly a lot.
And the one thing I'll tell you guys is that they're not going away. Like, as much as this whole incident was a pain in the ass, it's something that most corporations are going to use as just like an exercise to figure out, like, okay, what we need to do to make sure that we're better. So CrowdStrike will inevitably recover and actually be stronger. But the question is, when is that going to happen? And
No, we don't know.
Would you buy the dip on CrowdStrike? I would say probably not, for at
Nope.
least a short period of time. Because this is like one of those things that the sales teams are going to have a really, really hard time explaining to their account manager. I mean, the account manager is going to have explaining to their clients. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was just reading some stuff, and you're not the only one that had issues about it. Fortunately, my company, we don't use CrowdStrike, but you know, we didn't get any impact. But obviously, we had a little bit of downtime because of AWS, since we host a lot of stuff in there. But I know a lot of companies, like they're on Azure and they got CrowdStrike. It's like the double whammy right there, like that.
See, there's two things I'm gonna just quickly address because I see it on the chat. Someone said a 640 PE. So I would not look at PE as the only metric anymore. And let me tell you the reason why. You know, let's say a business right now generates negative cash flow and negative returns, right? So let's say they lost money. And then all of a sudden now they started to get into net profitability and they only made 1 penny and their stock is trading at 300. So it's like, holy shit, the PE is astronomical. But the thing is, remember, the way that earnings works is that it goes from negative earnings to positive, but it could be a very small positive. So let's say last year they lost $1, right, per quarter. That means they lost $4. And then this quarter they made 1 penny. But here's the thing, the improvement is from almost a $4 improvement to now a penny. And what ends up happening is the next year after that, if they improve their earnings the same exact way, that means that they'll end up making $4. And then the year after that, they'll end up making, with an improvement at the same rate, could end up making almost $10. So what ends up happening is if you look at the PE on a forward basis, it ends up making a lot of sense. So I think a lot of times people miss out on great companies because they look at the PE and say, this is overvalued. I should be buying a PE that's like 10, 11, 12. I shouldn't be touching a PE that's like 100, you know. But usually what happens is when companies go from negative net income to positive net income, there's usually this gap where the PEs look astronomical. But the truth is, I would say a better metric to use is something like EBITDA. EBITDA can help you understand like what kind of multiple to give it, and then also use that as a pretext for valuing the company based on its market cap. So let's say right now you have a company that generates $1 billion in EBITDA, right? And the multiple that historically that sector gets is a 10. And let's say this company has $2 billion in debt. What ends up happening is you would use EBITDA to basically say, okay, if they generated $1 billion in EBITDA, you multiply it by 10, that gives it a $10 billion market cap minus $2 billion in debt, which means now you should have a market cap of $8 billion. And then you take the number of shares outstanding, divide that, and now you're going to get where you need to be in terms of like the value. And so this way you can say, okay, is this company overvalued or undervalued? Now, that's for present day, trying to figure out the valuation based on historical multiples on EBITDA. But let's say right now, you can safely assume what the EBITDA is going to look like 2 years from now, right? Where a lot of times the companies will give you guidance like, hey, our EBITDA is going to be X in 2 years. What you can do is run that same model, right? Use the same thing. Take the EBITDA, multiply it by the EBITDA multiple that historically that industry gets, and that's going to give you the enterprise value. Then you just subtract the debt that you have in the future, and you subtract that out, and boom, you got yourself what the business is likely to be valued closer to, and it'll give you like I think it gives you a better valuation than just using pure PE, you know. So guys,
Yeah,
back on the buzz getting free lessons too.
Yeah, I mean, there.
You know, I
So
wanna
really, like when it comes to, I'm gonna highlight this comment again. So really, like especially when it comes to a lot of cloud companies, they have a lot of recurring revenue that happens. So like the best way to, I mean, the thing is, okay, when you think of a software company, they spend a lot of money, they have a lot of R&D, and they have really top-notch developers, right? So in order to keep these developers on the staff, and they pay them a lot, they also have to issue them a lot of company stock, right? So, stock-based compensation, stock-based compensation in software companies tend to be pretty high. And then on top of that, I already said the R&D parts, they a lot of capex. But what the thing is that when you scale out software, like if you sell like an annual subscription for $1,000 a month, and you have one client, all that cost minus the $1,000 revenue, per year. You know, if you have like 2,000 clients, then that is when you start your gross margins start going up. So if you take CrowdStrike, their gross margins is almost 80%. Okay. And it's been steady above 70% now. It's like 75.3% last quarter. But if you look on if you look at the net profit margins, this is the reason why this stock has been rallying hard. Okay. July 2021, they went from minus 16.3% and then 4% last quarter. So they're already profitable. Their revenue is still growing at a pretty healthy clip. I think their revenue is let's see here.
The other one, if it's still the same thing. That's weird though. Hold on. You know, let me try it from my end. Because
On a quarterly basis, the revenue was 33% last quarter. And look, it's just consistently above 30%. You don't really have a lot of companies like that. So like Kris was saying, when it comes to the PE, the price to earnings, all right? So let's think about like their trailing earnings. They just became profitable. So they just started having GAAP earnings. And then when you take the price of it and then divided by that amount, that's the reason why it's 640, because they just became profitable. They haven't exactly generated that earnings that big companies like Microsoft or Google have compared to the price of the stock. So it's not really a good metric. The good metric to really do for a lot of cloud companies is enterprise value divided by the next 12 months revenue. And there's this guy, Jabin Ball, works for Altimeter. He basically comes out with these lists like every single week. And CrowdStrike has been one of the most expensive software companies for quite some time until I don't know if you guys ever heard of Palantir before. They're the most expensive one out there right now. So, you know, this was taken before today, but I think even after the drop today, they're still trading about 14 times, which is still pretty expensive, but it is a lot cheaper to the historic valuation. I could
So
actually, yeah,
when
go
you
ahead.
look at like companies for value, that's when you look at PE, because that gives you a much better like handle on what you're supposed to look at. So as an example, if you're looking for a mature business with a historical PE, that's what you typically want to look at. That's when you look at a PE, because that's going to give you a clear indication as to what the valuation should be. So it's like if you look at banks are a great place to be looking at PEs, you know, because there's not a lot of like issues with the other stuff. So I would say you have to be very industry selective on how you value each company, and also what is that thing called? And also understand: are you valuing it like a growth stock, or are you valuing it like a value stock? So all of those things end up adding into your forward calculation. So. I think that's it. Are you talking or am I talking?
My bad. I was
Oh,
I was unmuted.
okay.
So I was basically saying this is the reason why value investors don't really buy software stocks, because of the fact that it's priced for its forward growth. It's not priced for its past performance. Like you can't compare the PE of like, let's say, well, not Google, but let's say Texas Roadhouse to CrowdStrike. One, they're two different sectors, but two, like just the metrics and the growth and the profit margins and the gross margins are like completely different. Like you can't compare them head to head. So if you really want to use PE, you'd have to compare like Google to Microsoft. That's what you'd use to compare, because those are pretty much on the same level. I actually pulled up a chart over here. I was trying to get the price as well.
Yeah, and that's also why we can see that companies, they go up and down significantly based on their growth. So imagine right now you have a growth stock that's slowly not growing as much. Valuation
Yeah.
models get completely thrown out the door. So as an example, when it slowed down to 20%, and when they guided for that 20%, it threw every single analyst as projections out the door. And so that's where you have to be very careful when it comes to growth companies, where if the expectations for are over exaggerated, that's going to guarantee you underperformance in the market. And that's exactly why I'm not buying any Palantir. Even though Palantir's revenue is accelerating a little bit, it's not anywhere near the level required in order to justify its current valuation. So,
Yeah. I mean, Palantir is like a completely different story. It's just funny how it's like Palantir comes up so many times today, and I usually do it as a joke, but it's it's not a cybersecurity company. Didn't mute for anyone else. I think Kris is muted right now. Can you guys hear me? Actually,
so Sam, I'm gonna head out because it's getting kind of like weird to me on the bus.
yeah, go for it, man.
I'll see you guys later. But I'm glad that this worked out. So in the
Yeah.
future, we'll just use StreamYard, and yeah, we'll connect this way. It was good seeing you guys. Take care. Later.
So yeah, I just wanted to talk about one more thing when it comes to CrowdStrike. If you take a look at the price over here on this chart that I have, and then you take a look at the EV NTM revenue, basically the earnings, the enterprise value divided by the next 12 months, you probably like July of 2023 was a good time to buy because its price was like around the 150s and its EV NTM was somewhere around 10. And then even look after the drop today, its EV NTM is like probably, I think maybe it's probably a little bit lower than this. Maybe it's around 17 and the stock price drop. But look at this divergence right here between these two. Like it's still, I still think it's expensive unless you assume that its entire metrics is going to continue taking place. Like, is it still going to grow at 33%? Is it still going to keep its gross margins? Is it still going to keep its net profit margins? Basically, are they not going to have any blowback from the event that happened last night that will keep its current valuation? And I think that the drop that happened today was a pretty small drop compared to what is actually going to happen. Like, I don't think people are going to wake up Monday and be like, oh, everything's good. CrowdStrike works fine. There's going to be a lot of companies that are going to be out there. They're going to be like, well, we lost X amount of money during this outage. You need to give us that plus more. And CrowdStrike needs to pay up all these people. I think they service like about almost 50% of the entire cybersecurity industry, or maybe more when it comes to endpoint. So that's going to be a lot of money they need to pay out. And if they don't pay that out, people are going to unsub from them. People are going to cancel the services. Well, not cancel. Maybe they're going to pull back a little bit. Maybe going to look into other services. And then the competition is going to come in. And that's the reason why you saw other cybersecurity stocks rally, like SentinelOne. SentinelOne's a very big endpoint management player. So, I mean, a lot of it is speculating, but we'll see. Total amount of money lost will be. Yeah, I mean, who knows, man? I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, the stock was overvalued for a long time. So people were just looking for a reason to get out of it. I don't think it was much. I mean, yeah, the stock was pretty overvalued, but like when it gets overvalued like that, it just takes like one bad catalyst for the thing to just sell off. People just take profit. And a lot of what you saw today was a lot of the people selling off, a lot of the algos kicking in. But I would say fundamentals, as far as the market goes, the market's not really looking past like the next couple of weeks, maybe next few weeks. That'll probably happen later on once price settles. Let's actually take a look over here. I do have in trading view. I mean, there's probably a bit more cybersecurities here because I haven't updated this list in a while. But I got SentinelOne, I have Zscaler. I don't have any more Palo Alto right now, and I definitely do not have Fortinet. So, I mean, like you could see, CrowdStrike was definitely the underperformer over here. But I think it's going to go down more. Like it's just there's so many unknowns right now when it comes to this company. Anybody do any buying today?
Okay, coach, finally approved.
No, no one did any buying. Well, let me know if you did. Yeah, July. It's usually summer volume is pretty low. A lot of people go on vacation and stuff. People turn down algos a little bit. You know, volume tends to be a little bit lower, and because volume tends to be a little bit lower, there's just stock market can possibly be more volatile because there's less buyers and sellers on the market. Oh, you got to sign 100 SoFi. What did SoFi? 747. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a monster pop, but kind of came down with the entire market. I actually thought yesterday that SoFi was going to outperform the entire market, but it ended up pulling back yesterday. I did buy a lot of Mercado Libre stock. I mean, I'm just so bullish this company. So I thought, look, if I'm going to take some profit in some companies, if I can take some profit in NVIDIA and start distributing new money that's coming in, then I'm going to put a lot of it into Mercado Libre. Mercado Libre is just, man, I released Kris released a page or a post that I wrote up. I think it's a couple months ago on Mercado Libre. But I mean, this company is like the Amazon of Latin America without AWS. But I think probably, maybe I'm just speculating, but probably at some point, Amazon might partner with them. I don't know. We'll see. If you really take a company that has an entire infrastructure and logistics systems built out in Latin America, Mercado Libre is definitely one of them. I don't think anyone really beats them when it comes to their logistics and infrastructure in Latin America. And I think Amazon did try to do that at one point, and they just gave up because it was just too much of an investment, too many unknowns. No one was too skilled in that region. What's another one that I bought? Actually, I did make a bunch of moves yesterday. Oh, I sold out of MongoDB. I mean, it's nothing against MongoDB, but it's too much to keep up with. And I think when it comes to software, in terms of database analytics, NoSQL and SQL databases, MongoDB is open source, so they're kind of competing against themselves in that. Since the founders of this company did create MongoDB, but I don't know. I bought a little bit more, a little bit hard when I was in the 220s and sub 220s, and then it came up, and then I decided, let me just move this money into a different stock. I actually I bought more DataDog, definitely bought more ServiceNow, definitely bought Cloudflare, bought more Amazon, and I sold out of my Micron swing that I put on a few weeks ago for a pretty small loss. And considering that it was only 2.5% that I lost, Micron is actually down a lot since I did enter. Yeah, it's down a lot. I actually drew like these fib charts over here, and my stop loss was actually over here at the 618. I'll talk about DataDog in a minute. My stop loss was here at 618, and then look, as soon as it broke the 618 overnight, it just crashed. So, that was it for that one. It was a small swing for me, but yeah, that was it. I did have a Carnival swing trade that I did do earlier this month, and I already got out of it and I took my profit. I have Sentinel 1 leaps and so on. So somebody asked about DataDog. So why am I bullish DataDog? So there is actually a very good chart I want to show you guys, and I think I was talking about this before on the last go live that we had. Where is that? Where is that guy? I think it's this guy. No. It's Eric. Eric something. Flanagan. Eric Flanagan. Eric something. Eric Flanagan. So he actually has a very good chart when it comes to DataDog.
Hi, Ramel. Okay, kumusta?
Huh. Can't seem to find it.
Okay, ano yung isa-file mo?
Okay, I guess they are cybersecurity in this case. So there's a cybersecurity value chain that I have over here, and there's multiple parts of cybersecurity. Obviously, the ones that you guys heard of the most, which is mostly endpoint security. Where is it in this chart? Or cloud security is CrowdStrike. But there is data security for DataDog, which they do kind of have some modules that are in. DataDog is in CM, and DataDog is in monitoring and intelligence, and probably a lot more spaces in this value chain. But DataDog is pretty diverse from all the cybersecurity players. A lot of you guys probably heard of, like CrowdStrike, Sentinel-1, Zscaler, Palo Alto, Fortinet, and all that. It's in a different subsector of cybersecurity. It's more in the monitoring portion. So if you've heard of Dynatrace, AWS CloudWatch, basically anything that kind of monitors your applications and your infrastructure, that's kind of where DataDog would fall into. But of all of those, DataDog is actually probably the best run business out of, well, it's a pretty small subset of data monitoring companies, but Dynatrace is one of them. New Relic is one of them. New Relic actually did go private, and I did own New Relic for some time. And same thing with Splunk. Splunk went private as well. I forgot who acquired them. I don't know, but Splunk went private as well, and I did own them for a while too. Yeah, observability, pretty much. That's like that entire subsector. And Datadog really is like, they've been growing a lot. They're innovating. They have, well, I don't know what's going to happen with their supposed acquisition of GitLab, but I mean, Datadog is just a very well-ran business. I could provide some more research on that stuff, but I can't really think of a lot at the top of my head. But I mean, that's the reason why I'm very bullish Datadog. I have used it in the past. I don't currently, in my current company, we use a lot of New Relic, but yeah, I mean, Datadog's really, really good software, really good company, very well ran. Nice, Raj.
Click on Form 8.
Oh yeah, I bought more Cloudflare.
Form 17.
I don't think a lot of people know, but almost everyone today on your cell phone, work, whatever, you're using Cloudflare. Cloudflare owns a lot of the internet backbone. They have a few products available. One of them, they deal with a lot of DNS registration. But one of the biggest products is CDN, or I forgot the content delivery network. So basically, if you have your desktop, all right, or you have your phone and you want to access, you go on your phone and I want to, go to, I want to watch a movie on Netflix, right? So basically your phone goes all the way to Netflix's servers, which are hosted in AWS, and it retrieves that content or that movie. Say you want to watch a movie like, you want to watch The Little Mermaid. Okay. So you go on your phone, you want to watch The Little Mermaid, you go all the way to, that's actually Disney. That's not on Netflix. So like, say you wanted to watch, I don't know, what's a movie on Netflix? I can't really think of one.
You don't need it. Kasi you pretty
We're
much
gonna
only
blank
just
here.
put, on the proof of service, we always just put the main document, which is.
Yeah. Okay. So say you wanted to watch a movie on Netflix, right? You put it on your phone. It goes all the way to Netflix's servers, which is hosted in AWS, retrieves and caches a lot of that content in sequencing, and then loads it on your phone. All right. So wherever you are in the entire world, if you're accessing those Netflix servers, the latency will be slow based on where you're located and where they're hosting the servers. But there's something called content delivery networks, which is basically like it's an edge. All right. So instead of hosting the content in AWS, wherever their closest availability zone is, it's hosted on one of Cloudflare's edge systems, which could be closer to where you are. So like, let's say like you're in the middle of nowhere in Thailand. All right. The closest server is probably in China. So if you're in Thailand, you want to watch a movie, you go all the way to your phone reaches all the way over to China to download that stuff. Latency might be pretty slow. But if Cloudflare has servers that are in Thailand, then it'll go to that server first on that edge, it'll say, hey, do you have this movie saved on your servers? And if it does, it says, okay, so you don't need to go to China. Here you go. You could just watch it straight from there, lowest latency and everything. When you think about AI and using LLMs, how many LLM queries are people going to get when they use a chatbot in a day when AI really takes off? All right. So like, let's say 1 billion people use a specific chatbot in a day in, I don't know, Des Moines, Idaho. Okay. Where's the nearest AWS server from there? Or where, not AWS, where's the nearest Azure server from there? Or wherever the chatbot is being hosted. So depending on how close that server is from their phone, there could be a CDN or an edge server that's closer to that that could serve these clients and cache all the content. So that way, all the work doesn't have to be done in Azure, in that server that everyone's trying to reach. It gets a lot more in depth that, but I'm pretty bullish on Cloudflare. I mean, they're not exactly the cheapest though. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, phone, Cloudflare, AWS. If it goes to Cloudflare and says like, hey, do you have this video that I want to watch? And Cloudflare is like, yeah, we have it. Then it just gives it to you instead of just going to AWS. If Cloudflare doesn't have it, they'll tap AWS's shoulder, give that video to you from AWS, and then they'll say, well, I don't know who else is going to access this content after this, so I'll just store it on my server so that way next time someone asks, I'll already have it available. Makes things a lot faster, lower latency. So yeah, another thing that I want to actually go over today, switching topics a little bit instead of talking about specific companies, is basically markets.
Right? Because it's the same thing.
Let's see here, AI survey. So this is the AI Investor Sentiment Survey. This is basically a survey that just happens every single week. Last Wednesday's came out at 52.7% bullish, which is actually very near the 1-year bullish high of 52.9%. The bearishness was 23.4, which is not the highest bearishness, but that just means that, you know, I would personally say just going by this indicator, we're kind of getting a little bit overheated. A lot of people are on one side of the boat. And when a lot of people get on one side of the boat tips over. All right. So, I mean, that usually happens. And I feel like there were so many people that got so bullish recently, especially with the IWM. A lot of people are like really buying into small caps that's there was really no one to buy anymore after that. I mean, I'm not saying there's really no one else to buy anymore, but by that point, a lot of people are already like all in the market. Like, I don't think I've ever seen so much bullishness on Twitter until IWM rallied like 20% in like a matter of a week. There is, what was I going to look up? Man, just had a brain fart. Anyways, if we look at IWM, really, guy, really, like, this is pretty crazy. I mean, who thought? Oh, I'm not going to ask who thought, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people up here got very bullish in IWM up here and bought calls, only to get their face smacked in over here. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, like, there's still a lot of bulls out there thinking the dips to be bought. I'm personally not going heavy on leverage right now. I'm very decisive of where I'm buying. So when it comes to what I'm buying right now, I'm only buying what I know, and I'm not levering up. I mean, that's just how I'm working right now. I do kind of expect more downside, to be honest. I think Futtbucker was talking about he was showing some charts saying that like we might go down a little bit more. I don't think we're going to go down a lot, but I mean, you know, market needs to cool off a little bit.
Normally I don't bookmark.
That's what I was going to do, actually. There is the CNN Fear and Greed Index. And this guy is at 49, all right? This got all the way to like the mid 60s just a few days ago. Where is the... Yeah. It got to like the mid 60s. Where can I look at? Here it is. So yeah, it got all the way up to 63 on July 15, which is, well, it's close to the top, the day before the top of IWM. Yeah, there's like a lot of option activity going on in IWM, but I don't know.
especially if you document everything.
To be honest, that stuff happens all the time. I mean, I'm looking over a long period of time. When I look over a long period of time, when I see this, I do not see it continuing at that pace, especially when it is extremely outperforming the Qs and SPY. Like look at this monster rally. Like, this is just a blow off the top right here. You know, how come Qs outperform IWM for this period of time, and then IWM like just kind of went sideways for a while while the Qs just launched, right? A lot of people said like, hey, that means the market's going to turn over. No, that doesn't mean the market's going to turn over, because like this is mostly mega caps. And when these small caps rally and the mega caps fall, I don't think that's exactly sustainable, because small caps are not for safety. So that got very risk on very fast. So it's just kind of equilibrium right now. All right. We got about 27 people here. This is actually a good amount of people. For me, at least, considering it's my first live stream. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Anybody else got any more questions or anything?
Where is it? Excerpts of record. It's 6,391.
The latency is a little bit, so whatever you guys are typing, I'm not going to see it for a few seconds. I guess what I could kind of talk about right now is that's like 100 eyes. Kind of lost you there, dude. I think it's moving quickly in this rotation because of it. Yeah, I mean, carry is yeah, IWM Russell 2000 has a lot of regional banks in there because they tend to be small caps or mid caps, whatever that is, mostly small caps. So if all of them move in unison, it really is going to move the market, move IWM based on the algorithms. Any new thoughts on Snow? I don't know. Snow's a piece of crap right now in terms of price action. Besides that, the fundamentals haven't changed. So no, not really new thoughts. I guess it's kind of good that no one's talking crap about Snow right now, and they're talking more about CrowdStrike. So people are kind of taking their eyes off Snow. And if I do recall, yeah, Snow was green today. I'll take it. Snow was green. Yeah, CrowdStrike's red. CrowdStrike's down 11%. Snow's up 0.01%. That's green in my book. Hey, no problem, Brad. Thanks for coming. What are my thoughts on Sentinel-1? I'm really bullish Sentinel-1. I don't want to get too much into that, but that's a really good company. I think they got a lot of runway to come through. Obviously, revenues are not as large as CrowdStrike, but they are one of the leaders in endpoint security. They are, well, I don't want to say that because I'm not exactly 100% sure, but they are a really strong player in cybersecurity, a much cheaper alternative to CrowdStrike, and also Microsoft when it comes to cybersecurity, and they're growing at about 40%. They're not profitable yet, unfortunately. I don't quote me on that. I think they are free cash flow positive. I don't know. I got to double check. Or maybe they're non-GAAP profitable. I don't know. I'll post some more DD another time with that one. What makes S special? I don't know. They're a single letter stock, so that just makes them special. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, they're a good company. Open a small position S today after crowd incident from what I'm reading, a Gartner review. Like, yeah. I mean, Gartner's Magic Quadrant for cybersecurity. Sentinel-1's pretty up there with CrowdStrike and Microsoft. Their free cash flow. Yep. That's what I thought I remember seeing. I completely forgot. I haven't looked too much into Sentinel-1 lately. Yeah, late fiscal year 2025, they're actually expecting profitability. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, to be honest, like, knock on wood, I hope, no one got hurt during the cybersecurity incident with CrowdStrike. But this is actually good for Sentinel-1. This is good for their competition. A lot of people might look to leave CrowdStrike and jump at the Sentinel-1. So in terms of products, buying products. So, it is definitely good for them. So thoughts on NCLH over CCL. So I don't really want to get too much into it because I can't keep this live stream going on for too long. But when it comes to Carnival Cruise Lines versus Norwegian, so Carnival has one of the highest gross margins out of the three cruise lines. All right, so when I say the three, I'm talking about Royal Caribbean, I'm talking about Norwegian, and I'm talking about Carnival Cruise. Carnival has the highest gross margin out of them. And as of last quarter, well, actually, as of the previous quarter, the least net profit margin, which means they have the biggest wiggle room to grow their margins in terms of profitability. So that's the way that I see that Carnival Cruise Lines has the most runway with it, but their debt is the largest out of all three of them. So it does have that risk. Norwegian is also a good play too, because they do have a lot of runway. They didn't get as big of a recovery as Royal Caribbean did. And Norwegian is also very popular in Europe too. So, you know, it's a really good player. I mean, really, they're all going to move together. It just depends on which one's going to outperform each other. To be honest, Royal Caribbean, I think, probably has not as much upside since it already recovered so much. And Carnival and Norwegian, they have a lot of recovery in front of them. Yeah. So, CrowdStrike and Palo Alto, they're both profitable. Zscaler and SentinelOne are both free cash flow positive. But I would say out of Zscaler and SentinelOne, Zscaler is probably has the better financials. They have the most sustainable growth, but you got to remember too that Zscaler is getting into the endpoint security sector. Well, they've been in it for a little bit, but not as much as how SentinelOne has been natively in that for a while. But Zscaler also is in SACE, which is basically enterprise security, and they do dominate that region because they're a very strong player in it. So is Palo Alto too. But if you ask me between Zscaler and Palo Alto in terms of valuation, I think Zscaler is probably the better bet. And no problem, James Burns. Thanks for coming. Duolingo. Yeah, that's an interesting one. That was a swing trade for me, and I did already sell my position above where it is today. And well, that was only for a minute that it went above that. Anyways, I hate this is the one thing I don't like about swing trades is that you don't know when to take profit, and it's very hard to not be greedy. But at some point, you have to take profit, and profit is profit. And when you made like 15% on a swing, like I got to take profit on that one, right? Especially when it comes to shares. So, you know, I took profit on Duolingo. Long-term wise, I mean, it's a great company, but it's just not my sector, man. And the same thing with Elf. Elf was a swing trade for me too, and I took profit on it. And for a minute, I was like, damn, I sold too soon. But then that sucker pulled back far. Like when that thing pulled back, I was kind of happy it pulled back. I mean, at the same time, I felt bad, but I was kind of happy that I sold higher than this, but you know, whatever. But yeah, so I bought it after, oops, let me actually take away. So I bought Elf. I nibbled a little bit around the mid 150s. And then when they had their earnings after ours and they were in the 140s, I bought hard and they went up. They went up. And then they came down and then they went back up and I sold right around here. Or was it here? I don't know which one I sold it on, but I sold it around here. And then I saw this and I'm just like, really, man? Really? You're just going to do that to me? You're going to do me like that? All right, fine. But, you know, I didn't chase and look where it is now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, nice. See? Yeah, doesn't that feel good? That feels good, right? When you sell like the top. It's just like, man, that's so good. But then when you sell this top and it comes down, you feel good. But then this happens. But I mean, you know, that doesn't happen all the time. I don't think that's really going to happen with Elf, but I mean, who knows? Well, I mean, Google was going to acquire HubSpot, and then the government shot them down, and then they had like $31 billion just like approved money for acquisition to throw away. Because I mean, 31 billion and just whatever, it's nothing, chump change. And then they decided to buy Wiz for 23, which is good because they're expanding their cybersecurity products. I think that's a really good acquisition. And then they have about $8 grand. They have $8 grand left. Google has $8 grand left. No, they have 8 billion left in already approved budget for acquisition. There's probably a little bit more stuff going on besides that, but I would think that they have about 8 grand to blow without having to jump through so many hoops. I think they have like almost 90 billion on their balance sheet before the acquisition of Wiz, but that hasn't exactly settled yet. So like they have about $90 to $92 billion of cash, but they own 22% of GitLab. Okay. 22% they already own GitLab. GitLab is worth $8 billion right now. Okay. So if they own 22% of GitLab, that means they own about 2 billion of GitLab. So if they want to buy GitLab out, they have to spend 6 billion of the 8 billion left from the 31, where 23 is going to Wiz. Kind of seems like a good idea, in my opinion. I would, if I was Google, I would buy GitLab. Like I would just, without a doubt. Like you already have the developer community. You already have Google Office, which competes with Microsoft Office. You have so many products. You have Google Photos competes with Microsoft OneDrive and so on. You know what? It's like they're head to head with Microsoft, but you add a competition to GitHub. I don't know. Seems like a really good move to me, in my opinion. I would do it. I would do it. There was actually, he's very bullish for Google B2B. I don't know if it was before. Yeah, I gotta be honest. I didn't know too much about Wiz. I know they're in cybersecurity. I don't think they're in the same. I already have it open here. Why don't we take a look at it? Let's look at the cybersecurity value chain. And did I close it? I closed it. I think I closed it. Yep, I closed it. All right. Let me. I don't want to go in my history. You guys are going to get that today. But yeah, I mean, they're a cybersecurity company, so we'll see. I was going to talk about something I forgot. I mean, I think that's really it. But I did want to talk about something real quick. Discord. Okay, so this is a lot of channels, guys. What I'm looking to do is to consolidate this a little bit, reduce the number of channels on here, and consolidate into certain sectors. And the ones that I'm eyeing here is ALB. I might consolidate that one into something, or I'm just going to archive it completely. And when I do archive it, I'm not going to delete it. You guys will be able to access it, read me. But at a certain point, I will delete it. But for now, like if I do archive it, you guys will still be able to access the channel. You just can't post anything in there. I'm going to archive. I kind of want to get ETFs open, but I think I might archive that one. TLT, I'm probably going to consolidate with a bunch of other stuff. AI hype cycle data. Yeah, I'm probably going to rename this channel. Temporary hype, maybe, but I'll probably consolidate that one a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to make a lot of changes on here. And also the way that the way that we make posts, Patreon posts and all that, I'm probably going to make it into a nicer looking chart, a nicer looking channel where you can actually pull up the articles and you can pull up the content in Discord, or you get a direct link from Discord. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do that too. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, all that. They're probably going to be putting one like mega cap channel or mag 7 channel or something like that. All right. I think that is it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Again, this was my first at doing this, hoping to keep doing these in the future. And yeah, maybe we have some special guests on here. I know Matt wants to be on here or something. But yeah, take care, guys. See you later.